A reading from the Gospel of John. Again Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Then the Pharisees said to him, You are testifying on your own behalf. Your testimony is not valid. Jesus answered, Even if I testify on my own behalf, my testimony is valid, because I know where I have come from and where I am going. But you do not know where I have come from or where I am going. You judge by human standards. I judge no one. Yet, even if I do judge, my judgment is valid, for it is not I alone who judge, but I and the Father who sent me. In your law, it is written that the testimony of 2 witnesses is valid. I testify on my own behalf, and the Father who sent me testifies on my behalf. Then they said to him, Where is your Father? And Jesus answered, You know neither me nor my Father. If you knew me, you would know my Father also. He spoke these words while he was teaching in the treasury of the temple, but no one arrested him because his hour had not yet come. Just to be clear, that last thing he said, that he's got valid testimony because he speaks for himself and his Father, clearly implying God, that was enough to get him arrested, but his time had not yet come. He was not done with what he was sent here to do by the Father. But I want to go back to the beginning of this passage where Jesus says, I am the light of the world, and all those who follow me will live their life in that light and have no darkness to fear. And I wonder how that hits the ear of us in our common mind today in our lives, where we know that there are many forces of what feel like darkness. There is a war that's unfolding. There's famine and flood and all those things going on around us. There's difficulties in our own communities. Here in the city of Chicago, continued violence, especially gun violence, besets the people of God and all of God's people around the world. And we wonder, if Jesus is the light of the world, why are we having trouble seeing it sometimes? And it just makes me think about my time a couple of summers back when I was with my husband up in the Dark Sky Park up in the northern part of Michigan, the beautiful state of Michigan. And you become aware when you can get out to a place that's set aside so that there's not light pollution around us, and there's just enough intentionally dark space, no artificial light or electricity around, so that you can actually see the night sky and all of the light that is shining in it. It's amazing what you can see, planets with the naked eye, just countless stars that are always there, but we cannot see them day to day or even night to night here, those of us who live in an urban environment. There is no real darkness around us, not really. Not so that we can see that light shining to us from the heavens, as it were. So I think about how it can be that all of the artificial light and, if you will, the light noise of the world can obscure this light gleaming from just countless light years away, from in a way beyond time. And I think about that analog for us in our spiritual lives, to think about Jesus saying, I am the light of the world, I am the light of life. And if you are following me, you'll never be without that light. But we say, but what about this? And what about that? What about the wars? What about the poverty? What about the violence? What about the hunger? And I think Jesus might invite us into something of a spiritual form of a dark sky park, to say, if you would just make the effort to get to a place where you have dampened down all of the artificial lights of the world, whether they be wonderful things or difficult things. And to be clear, I think a lot of the light pollution in my own life, when it comes to seeing the light of Christ, that light pollution isn't coming from the forces of darkness and difficult things. It comes sometimes from other forms of light in my life that are not explicitly Christ. Things that are still wonderful and joyful and bring light with them, lightness with them. family and friends and social gatherings and cultural events and even being out in nature, there are things that can dazzle the eye, dazzle the spirit, but they can also provide a certain sort of light pollution that keeps me from seeing the light of Christ gleaming and shining through, as it surely is, as Jesus has assured us it is. We will never be without it. So as we go through this day and head into these final days of Lent, I hope that you will find some time to get to your own spiritual dark sky park and cut out all of the other lights of the world, not the light of the world, but those other lights that come to us in various forms in our lives. If you can find a way to calm those down and be still and look for the light of Christ as it is coming to you, as it is shining through you in your life, that you might be able to perceive and give thanks for that, to give thanks for a God who has said we will never be left in the dark. We will always have the light with us. So may God be with you in that discernment this day, and may God bless you and keep you this day and always. Amen.